Rebecca Jarvis has been on the story from the start. How's it going?
Hey, George. Yeah, and there are so many twists and turns in this story. She was convicted on 4 counts of criminal fraud by a federal jury in January. And now in this last-ditch effort to get Elizabeth Holmes a new trial before she's sentenced to prison, the defense is alleging one of the government's key witnesses came to her home recently to tell her he felt guilty about his testimony.
This morning, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes is fighting for her freedom as her sentencing looms.
You think this is going to lead to an acquittal?
8 months after being found guilty of fraud, the convicted felon is seeking a new trial or court hearing based on what she says is newly discovered evidence. In a motion filed this week, Holmes' legal team points to what they say was an unexpected visit to her home last month by key government witness and former Theranos lab director, Dr. Adam Rosendorf, who allegedly said he felt guilty and felt like he had done something wrong in connection with his testimony at the trial, according to Holmes' partner, Billy Evans. According to the court filings, Evans answered the door and later wrote a description of Rosendorf as disheveled, saying his voice slightly trembled. Rosendorf, who testified at the criminal trial about issues he witnessed while at Theranos, allegedly told Evans the government made things seem worse than they were.
His testimony was certainly important to the government in terms of putting the story together. However, a lot of the allegations, in particular the ones that Elizabeth Holmes was convicted of, involved fraud that was made to the investors.
In the court filings, Evans states that Rosendorf also allegedly said America builds things up only to tear them down, comparing Elizabeth Holmes to Michael Jackson. Holmes, once the youngest female self-made billionaire, rose to fame for starting her biotech company Theranos, claiming she had invented technology that could do any blood test with just a few drops of blood.
We've made it possible to run comprehensive laboratory tests from a tiny sample or a few drops of blood.
But everything came crashing down after whistleblower allegations revealed that the company wasn't what it appeared to be. And this past January, Holmes was found guilty by a federal jury for 4 counts of fraud.
We reached out to Dr. Adam Rosendorf, and he declined to comment. Holmes' sentencing is set for October. She's facing up to 20 years per count, and she's currently living with Billy Evans and their 1-year-old son, William, in Northern California, George.
Okay, Rebecca, let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, for more on this right now. Is she going to get a new trial?
You don't get a new trial because a witness in the case comes to your house and says, oh, you know, gosh, I'm sort of sorry about what I said here. I mean, even if this witness was saying, you know, I lied, that's not what he's saying here. But even if he said that, you still probably don't get a new trial here.
Even if they said that I lied?
Even if he said I lied, it's very hard to get a new trial. After a jury has gone through the process of deliberating, you have to really have misconduct in a trial to get a new trial, in particular in a case like this. Remember, there's already been a request for a new trial that's been denied. And think about the way that this verdict came down, right? There were 4 counts where she was found guilty, but there were other counts where the jury said not guilty. There were other counts where the jury was hung. They deliberated for a long time, and their verdict kind of made sense, right? It was this idea that she had defrauded the investors, but they weren't convinced that she had defrauded the patients, right? And so when you have a verdict that all kind of makes sense, and one of the allegations by the defense team was that the verdict doesn't make any sense, it's very hard to get a new trial. This isn't going to do it.
And meantime, she is set to be sentenced next month. What do you expect there?
Well, look, she's facing up to 20 years on each of the counts. I don't think she's going to get 20 years. Tough to know. The sentencing guidelines even are pretty confusing in this regard. I would think somewhere in the range of 4 to 10 years. But there's a lot of discretion here on the part of the judge.
She's going to spend time in jail.
For sure. I think she's going to spend time in prison. These are very serious charges, and absent something else changing, and it's not going to be a witness coming forward
saying he feels bad.
Right, exactly. I think it's likely she's going to end up serving some real time.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.